You all might be familiar with. I only knew that they played basketball there. She also found out that there was a law school there as well. She got a law degree from Georgetown University. And as opposed to going on to a big-time law firm to pay back some of those loans, she found herself committed to be a public servant, where she worked for both the Obamas and the current senator now, Sherrod Brown. And so when the space became available in her heart to do something more relative to serve, she said, I want to answer that call. And so today we'd like for you to hear and listen to and perhaps even ask a couple questions to Desiree Timms.
All right.
Thanks so much for having me. So I spoke earlier about our power as a people. Since we're after church hours, supposedly 3 hours, I'm gonna get a little more blunt. So, you know, the country is founded on the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, but we know that it functions on 2 things, and that's money and that's power. As people of color, most of us, we don't have money, but we do have power, and that power comes through the vote. And so when I spoke earlier, I mentioned that each of us, we have pink slips, okay? And you get the pink slip when you pay taxes, you get the pink slip when you register to vote and vote, and you get the pink slip when you march and raise your voice. And so what I'm doing is encouraging you all is to dig down in that drawer that you have a lot of junk in that you don't want to look into, or one of those old pocketbooks that you have, and grab that pink slip and tell some of these representatives they're being terminated. So I want you to wave it in their face and say, we've looked at your record, we've heard what you said, but we're hurting right now. We're mourning. And your words are insufficient. My great-grandmother used to say, a man is only so as good as his word. And we know that my opponent, my attorney, his word isn't good. And we also know that his actions by his votes, they aren't good. So I marched with, during the Trayvon Martin situation, I went out to St. Louis, I marched for Mike Brown. I came back for the Crawford situation. I went down to Cincinnati and started to reach and make some contacts to see what happened when they had the 2001 riots. I wanted to know what happens during a tragedy. How can the community come together? What happens is we have to take action. I remember when Black Lives Matter came to the White House. And one of the profound things that President Obama said when they were making demands and they were frustrated and they were angry, rightfully so, the things they were asking for or demanding, he said, ask me, organize and ask me, move your leaders. So what I'm asking you all to do, I know some things, I know I have some ideas and some solutions. I don't want to project all my solutions on the community. I'm actually planning to do a listening tour. So if you want to host a listening tour on the topic, criminal justice, healthcare, taxes, I'm there to listen and to listen to the issues. But I want to encourage everyone to get involved and take action. Take somebody who you can register to vote and vote, no matter who you vote for. Just take them along to get engaged. That's what we really have to do. So I'm excited to have the opportunity to talk to you all, but it is disheartening for it to be these circumstances. So I was going to announce my congressional filing papers tomorrow morning, but in light of the tragedy, I'm actually going to postpone it because I do know some of the folks who were harmed. So I'm going to hold off on that, but I want to encourage you all to sort of raise your voice and get involved and ask me any questions you have. You have my cell phone number, I'll give it out to you. We'd love to sit down and talk to you. So take the opportunity to really speak up and tell us, what's going on, what's on your heart.
Can you just announce it to us so that we're prepared when you do announce it that we can share?
On Facebook. So if you add me on Facebook,
Tell me your name one more time.
I'll give out cards. My name is Desiree Timms.
Okay, thanks.
Maybe Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. It was supposed to be 6 a.m., but I'm really encouraging my consultants to not do anything like that right now while we try to hit a little bit. Yeah, I look forward to having my people's support. I'm doing this for my community. I just got lucky. I worked hard, but I got lucky, and I have friends who are still here, and they're equally hard workers, and they still don't have the same opportunities that I have. So that's why I'm in it. And it's times like this that really inspire me to really roll up my sleeves and get to work.
We are excited to run.
All right.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Can you let him, brother, in at the door right there, straight ahead? Thank you very much, ma'am. We'd like to hear from you now. Come on, sis.
I knew you was gonna do that.
Yeah. Come on. Just announce, let's know who you are.
I'm Joelle Jones. I am founder of Neighborhood Old Politics. Ran for office, but that's not the reason why I'm here. I do plan to run for office again. I'm not running for school board, and I was going to make an announcement about that this week as well to let people know what my next steps are, but I'll just keep that on the hush. But I know we're all here for the same reason, but I was talking, these are my sons. One is 17 and one is 24, Macaulay and Yard. And so it was just really interesting that yesterday, my son, which I need to do when I used to do, he's a runner, he runs every night. And just yesterday, I was going to go to the concert at Levitt Pavilion. But because of the incident that happened in Walmart, and he can tell you, I literally was crying in the car, I felt for the first time in my life, scared, frustrated. And I'm not a person like that. I keep it moving. But yesterday, before this happened, I stood back and I talked to my son. I said, these are hardworking individuals, Americans, regardless of immigrants or not, paycheck to paycheck, in Walmart, trying to make it happen for their families. And somebody who believes that they have the right to come in and take their life. So yesterday, at midnight, my son decides he wants to go on his run. We live in McPherson, and I said to him, I said, will you please just run in the neighborhood? Of course, he told me he was. We hear everything. We live right downtown. And I heard the sirens going. So I'm calling them, of course, just what kids do. They don't answer the phone. So I finally get in touch with them. I'm listening to the police scanner, and I can hear an officer say, I need you to get every available ambulance in the region here. And he's screaming, now. So I finally call my son, who just happens to be where? Downtown, not in the neighborhood. And when I say that the feeling, it was like Superman. I literally put a t-shirt on, going out the house, get in the car to go find my kid. And to get him out of what I consider to be danger, because at that particular time, they thought they had two shooters. One they said was dead, and the other was active and they hadn't caught him yet. But I say this. I talked about earlier on Facebook that it was mental illness, and I still believe that it's mental illness. But here in this country, hate has become fashionable.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a white friend who lives, one of my best friends, she lives in Idaho, and she said to me, well, one of the shooter didn't just kill black people, they killed white people as well. And I said to them, this is just my perspective. Even though it's about color, it's no longer about color, it's about opinions. And white supremacy, white nationalism has taken into account to the point where if you disagree with it, whether you white or black, they feel it is their endowed duty to support this country and take it back by force and kill. And so I was looking at the United States Constitution this morning, reading it. I do that often because I'm boring. And when it talks about inalienable rights, there's a second part of the U.S. Constitution that you guys are familiar with that talks about basically when citizens feel as though the government has gone beyond what they should do, they have the right to take it over. And I believe that is where they are coming from. And so we can blame this on Trump, but this happened before Trump.
Right.
It's going to happen after Trump. So as a community and as a mother, especially African American boys, I want to collaborate and see what it is we can do to protect our sons.
Right.
My son said to me, there's nothing you can do about it. Well, I can't stop hate. That's something God can do. That is a burden that's too big for me. But what we can do is start to put in protective measures and to alert our community that truly we are at war.
That's right.
It is domestic terrorism at its very finest. And if we continue to walk around or talk just on Facebook that this is horrible and our thoughts and prayers,
Right.
the next time, who knows, it's going to be us.
That's right.
So I don't have all the answers. How do we as a collective come together as a community? And this is be our moment in history to say that we're going to protect ourselves, protect our children, and this is as much our country as it is theirs.
Right.
And that's one of the things I wanted to say. Sometimes I think in my community, we don't believe that this is our country. Even though we were born here and we live here, we still sometimes, myself included at times, act like we're visitors.
Right.
Until we have that patriotic spirit and understand that it was our ancestors
That's right.
that built this country, that sweat, died, and bled for America, for this flag. Then we become patriotic. And this does become war. And I love what she said. If you look at my Facebook, it talks about policy. That's what my thing says. Because we can talk all day long, but policy is what changes lives and what saves lives. So again, I don't have all the answers, but I'm here to collaborate and to hear what other people are saying. I'm in the community, very active. Some of you know me. But I really want to talk about how do I protect my family,
Right.
my friends, my community from things like this. Because there's somebody else, we already know, lurking in the woods, in our vicinity,
Yeah.
who's thinking of the same thing.
That's right.
And there has to be some answers. This is not new. If our ancestors can get through Jim Crow and slavery, we can definitely get through this.
Oh, yeah.
But it requires a collective mind.
That's right.
And I'm hoping that that's what we're going to start today with this. It's a few, but most of the things get done. 90% of the work gets done with 10% of the people.
Right.
So I just want to hear what you guys have to say.
Your counterpart, Micah Garrison, actually said that they found out the shooter had been showing signs in high school and college. And I think that that's something that's common. Oftentimes, it's almost like when I was teaching for 17 years in a classroom. Incidents of violence don't happen spontaneously. There is a lead up. And I think that we need to be more cognizant of those behaviors so that they can be, watched and observed more carefully.
Absolutely.
Here, and then here, so, go ahead, bro.
My name is
Yep.
Nate Dillard, and I do a lot of stuff in the community, but I'm from the military. I did like 8 years in the Air Force, and now I live in Dayton area. And so I'm really when I learned in the military is less talk, more action.
Absolutely.
And so I want to just talk to you guys about when I leave this room, I want to have some action steps I could take immediately. So I was already, everybody's been on social media today. So I see that, what's her name? Lola, right? She passed away.
Lola Oglesby.
Yes, and I recently have a brand new daughter. She was born May 3rd, and Lola just had a daughter in June, right? And my fiance, she's breastfeeding our daughter, and I have two kids. So like, basically, Lola, she looked like she was in a happy relationship. She's breastfeeding a brand new baby. She has, I don't know if her other daughter's 8 or 9, I don't know.
Is this the Walmart 50?
No, this is actually last night's shooting.
Oh,
Yeah, so at the Oregon District. But basically what I want to do is, as soon as I leave this room, I want to create, if it's a GoFundMe or if I have a community partnership with anybody in this room, where we can get some formula together, some diapers, some wipes, and then the other daughter, she's about to start school soon, so we need to get school supplies. We need to create some kind of support system around the father and the family for these kids, because I feel like we could talk about the white supremacy problem all day, and I agree there's an issue here, but this is something that they need to figure out in their community also. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are 12.3% of the United States, African Americans, and we helped build this country. We pretty much built the country. So I know that the only thing we can control is how we support ourselves, and I feel like immediately even though their family's not gonna ask for the help immediately because they're grieving and they're trying to figure out what's happening right now, we need to just start rallying around this family. So I have a nonprofit, and I talked to Kenya today. She has Unified Power, which is tied to Co-op Dayton Gym Supermarket. I have a nonprofit called Uplift Collaborative, and I have a website called elevatedayton.com. And we are actually, you know, we're like looking at, hey, we're here right now because let's go. As soon as I leave here, I don't know if I'm gonna be at the rally tonight. I'm not gonna march. I mean, I think that's important, you know, in solidarity, but I'm just gonna go straight to action. So this week, I'm looking to work with all of you guys to get, if we can get some diapers, if we can get whatever you guys think is possible, let's just do it. Because I don't want to talk anymore. You know, like we have a lot of intellectual conversations that stimulate us and make us feel like we're doing something. It gives us an endorphin rush, like we did something. And we go in like we get in unity. We talk about it. We make like a monumental step forward. But then the problem doesn't really get fixed. So I'm really just trying to work with people who are just trying to act immediately. Because like I have a brand new daughter, and if this would have happened to my daughter's mom, yo.
Right.
I would be lost, and I'm just imagining what the father's going through, what the mother of the daughter who's lost, the little girls, you know. So if anyone wants to meet with me after, like literally, I'm gonna be back here, and I'm gonna take down some phone numbers, write down some notes on my notebook, and I'm leaving here, and I'm gonna go set up a GoFundMe. I'm gonna start advertising it, and we can start gathering some money together or some resources, like literal physical resources like wipes and stuff. So that's all I gotta say.
Can I add to that? So, I love what you said. I do know that Lola provided childcare services for a lot of kids around here. So maybe something that would be nice, instead of GoFundMe, because they take
Whatever you
half the
best.
money. If you want it through your nonprofit, create
Yeah.
a PayPal or Cash App or something that everyone can donate to.
Okay.
And maybe we do a drive in her name too, like
That's
in
good.
addition to providing.
I was gonna say Lola's fine.
Because,
Yeah,
in
I
addition
was-
to her babies, like she was like everybody's mommy, and she took care of a lot of kids around the city, so that's.
Okay. And then do you have any communication, or do you know any of her family? Because I know the guy I saw him on Facebook, D. Lee. He's like,
We can,
okay, let's communicate
I
on
was
that.
gonna say, it's important to ask them too what they need.
Right, but I didn't want to. I was gonna literally reach out to him today, but I was like, I'm not gonna hit up today. It's way too soon.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
I'm about execution, so that's where I come from. That's my background. So if you guys
And I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm just as someone who experienced death of a spouse,
right,
sometimes bringing things to the house immediately, it's not
right. And I'm like, yo,
okay?
No, and
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah, and I
Sometimes you
think,
don't want to do that right away.
yeah. I think that one of the things that we want to not deter anyone from doing anything
Right.
relative to, particularly if it's led in the direction of power and of sustenance for the family. What we do want to make sure, though, is have we had a conversation and asked the family what they need? One of the things that we don't want to do is overflood people with resources and things before we ask them directly. Part of what happens is, and I appreciate your energy, and this is not me, this collar be damned, is when we're doing right now is doing something by providing people a space for deep listening. And I think one of the things that happens with deep listening is that we actually see where our resources are and how we can be best served. So if we say that someone needs diapers, there's diapers that you don't have to buy, you could go downstairs, because we still have things that we're still providing for people from the tornado.
Okay.
No one talks about that anymore, but we still got rakes and shovels and things that we're still providing with families in that space too. So one of the things that we really wanted to do tonight is just have a sense of deep listening, because once we go there, then we take the full step of saying, not only are we providing for the family, but we're getting to the root of the problem of dealing with the person in our community who's supposed to be representing us. That's why we had the sister come in today. Because I want to talk to the people from the Nation of Islam when I worked in Miami, Florida, there's things like gun buyback programs and things that we can do where we've got to be mindful of how we pull our resources together in such a way that we take back the night.
But also, when you talk about that, can we have a lot of conversation about that?
Yeah,
So when we talk about equity in our community
absolutely.
and justification, that doesn't have, I'm a Democrat by nature, that's what I grew up in my family. But I want to say something too. We have to, when we talk about our communities,
Yeah.
we have to look about what our leadership has looked like
Absolutely.
and how our communities have evolved or not under that leadership. So as
Absolutely.
we talk about racial or justice or economic development and things of that nature and holding our elected officials accountable, that's across the board.
No question, no question.
Yeah, I just want to say, yeah, that's across the board.
And I think what he's getting, I think, do you mind if I ask how old you are?
27 tomorrow.
Awesome.
Oh, wow. So, okay.
Wow.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
No, one of the things I'm saying is one of the angst relative to getting to the point in the root is because he's seen people in their 40s and 50s just have conversations and not be about what that next step is. And so,
Yeah. I'm sick of the meetings.
yeah,
I'm sick of like all the grand gestures of like, let's have like 12 community meetings and like write on the board what we need, but then like nothing. comes.
Absolutely.
I'm sick of it.
But you know what? I gotta just push back on that, guys. There was a lot of things happening.
Right.
There are a lot of meetings, but there are a lot of things happening. When my organization, Neighborhood Politics, we do things in silence. I'm not a person who puts on Facebook,
Right.
we're here doing this, we're getting water, we're doing this. We don't do that. I'm just saying, I agree with you. But just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening.
No, I respect
Because
that.
there is some stabilization in our community. That means somebody's doing something,
Right.
Absolutely.
right? So, I understand what you're saying, but let's not say that things are not happening because there are a lot of people on the ground who are
Every day.
unsung heroes,
Every day.
who don't put it on Facebook, who don't talk about it, that do exactly what you said.
No, but I respect that.
Yeah, I'm just saying, they're out there doing that action, they're doing that work, I know them.
well, you not just know him,
Right.
you are one of them.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying, but we also understand his angst
Absolutely.
in relationship
These
to.
millennials want to do
Well,
it.
well, and I,
No, but I understand what he's saying too.
and I was gonna say,
And go ahead.
please, church is over, please.
Go ahead, Ms.
By all
Kenya.
means, go ahead.
Well, I know Kenya Baker, Community Outreach Director. I understand what he's saying too, as a millennial.
Who's the millennial? Wait a minute, keep that on tape, keep that tape.
I'm a millennial.
Oh, I was gonna say, I know you ain't calling yourself.
Kenya, you look like a
I
millennial.
had to clear my throat real quick now.
No, but I understand how they feel because this is why I came out the classroom, because I felt like, those babies that were coming and I was servicing every day were coming in worse and worse and worse each school year. And I say something is wrong, and I'm being locked in this little room during the day, and then the summer hit, I'm trying to take out my summer because I left with 400 hours worth of sick time on the show because I went to work every day because I knew what those babies needed. And so I can see how he's like, dang, West Dayton just crumbling down. Meanwhile, you see Oakwood flourishing, Beaver Creek flourishing, Miamisburg flourishing, the Green pop up. All of these things are happening in the suburbs, and West Dayton, where the highest concentration of African Americans live, is constantly deteriorating.
But why?
So he's saying all these meetings for what? So we can get some pretty glossy pictures on a dilapidated building? That's disgusting. And so I understand what you want to see is a manifestation of the power, but I do believe it is coming, and I see it a lot because Nate, I'm in the hood
You said yesterday.
I'm in the hood.
You was out you said you were out just picking up trash for hours before you came to that meeting yesterday.
I do it almost every single day.
Like, that's
and
one
I
of
mean,
those things that nobody sees or knows about.
and these people are collaborating. Also, people coming together. I went to the Community Love Day that Brother King had over at McKay Park for the residents of Hilltop. And Brother Stacy opened up his church doors, didn't know this man from Adam. He needed tables, he gave him tables from his sanctuary. So I'm seeing Millie open up CSU West every day for somebody from the community to come in and have an event. Sister Yolanda got a truck she couldn't find a truck to move goods to give them away to the community. She went all the way to, what was it, Yellow Springs?
Well, we're in Yellow Springs, yeah, so.
To get a truck, to be able to bring stuff. So people in this room, especially in this room, I know are people that are people of action. So we're gonna come up with some action steps.
So then we talk about the deeper issues, when we talk about that, when we say that, so that goes back to policy. So it's not by an accident that West Dayton has crumbled.
No question.
And so when we talk about moving, this is great. So what Desiree is doing is part of that. What I do and what I want to do is part of that. Because like you said, we got to have those people in place to change policy. It is intentional that our communities are crumbling. That's redlining. I don't care who says it's illegal. It still happens. High interest car loans, the way our housing structures, the way we even buy our houses, and the way our neighborhoods were set up. That's all government policy on the books, racial. So when we talk about them, that's great. So this is good, but we also got to get those people in office who are about that change, because that's where the action happens. Else we always knock on the head, bang, bang, bang. We're gonna do this. We're
And
gonna
the
do this.
people in office don't even probably see us as even human beings.
What you talking about, Kenya?
Literally, I've read
Exactly.
some comments about redlining across the country, and they see us like it's just animals that have been herded into a certain area
Absolutely.
and been left to our own demise. Even Mike Turner,
Yes.
his tweet today was like, "Oh, my family was down in Oregon, and this is how my family got saved, and good job, police." What about the family and friends and victims?
Absolutely.
Nothing for them?
Absolutely.
That's disgusting.
I need to speak.
Please.
My name is Felicia, and hi.
Hi, Felicia.
Of course, we're all very upset, and I hear you all are. The constituents need to recognize that the elected officials see us as we demand to be seen. So, we do not vote, and quote unquote, they do vote. And voter apathy and not showing up in 2020, not showing up for the midterms is real. And that is extremely the most serious problem that we're dealing with in regards to our dismissive attitude that the people, the elected officials are ignoring us. They will, and they are, and they do. But those of them who don't need us to actually have a conversation and present a platform, or even if they are listening for us, they will not be able to move. They are only individual peoples who also woke up this morning to alerting phone calls, who also had to check and see if everybody they actually loved was okay, who also had to figure out how they were going to put their face on to deal with the multifaceted nature of communication and responsibility. So we will be seen by our elected officials as we demand to be seen. And until we come up with a voice agenda or even a response to the fact that we can't vote. Now, everybody wants to talk about voting doesn't matter, or it's all a system. All these things are true, but these people are in place, and if they're elected and we demand of them, they are actually positioned to respond to us. But if they're working every day, all day, and none of us are even reading about the legislations, the press releases, and what they do it would take a full-time job just to read what they did from 9 to 5 for the 40 hours a week that they work. None of us, I don't do it. I'm not gonna say none of us, I'm gonna say I can wager that, most of us don't. And so, I'm from my family's native Washingtonian. I am not a native Washingtonian, but I did live in the district area for my childhood. So we really need to consider, okay, 2020, some president's going to get elected, but there's seats in the Senate that can block actions that are destroying our communities.
Absolutely.
And there's seats in the Congress that can block actions that are destroying our access and our flexibility. And those seats are not as guaranteed as the seat that everybody's very, 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 very excited about. And there's only one of those. And there are a lot of people who are legislators now who are looking to that one seat, and there's only one of those seats. And that seat isn't as powerful as we'd like to imagine it to be. And grassroots is important, and constituents are important. And not voting is a really problem. We voted once and look what we got. We got one man who was a black president who was willing to do what one man can. And then we didn't even show up in midterms, so, and that can't be addressed overnight because folks ain't feeling that.
Brother Muhammad, you wanted to say something, sir? Thank you. I want to say something about that.
Let me see him.
We had this problem on Sundays.
Can you make
Yes,
I
absolutely.
can never point it at myself right.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, sister. First, in the name of God, I would first like to, of course, thank the pastor for opening up your beautiful sanctuary so that we can discuss this because it is very important. And I think, when we look at the time and what must be done, the time and what must be done, I think we have to begin to understand what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught about the nature of the white man. His nature and his system of white supremacy is dying and it's on its way out. And in its death, just like you have any type of animal that you back into a corner, they become violent. And so what we're seeing now is their nature coming out, basically expressing itself. One way that it has expressed itself, of course, is that the elections itself, the man who is in the White House is a reflection of the spirituality and the mentality of the majority of the people in a democracy. They put that man in the White House. So this is a backlash from a black man being in the White House, and they say no more. And so now, not only are we seeing Trump express openly white supremacy, but we are seeing conservative talk show like Rush Limbaugh and Shan Hannity, who have millions of listeners backing that type of madness. So what I'm trying to say is this. I agree with Brother Nate. We can't change the nature of the white man. Now you might say that's not all white people, but that's the majority of white people. I mean, I'm gonna just be honest with you. We're not over 6,000 years that they've been on the planet. You're not going to change the nature of the white man. Now, so what should we do? I think when we look at the Chinese, they have built basically an enclave in every city that they have. They have Chinatown. They have a de facto government. We can elect people, however, we need to begin to control the affairs of our community. One way we can do that is we can bring beautiful pastors like yourself, the Nation of Islam, all the other churches. We have to begin to put together some type of agenda that we can get the community to embrace.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? Sister Kenya, we were at a meeting yesterday. One of the things that we can embrace is we need to begin to buy up communities. This is how they do it. We buy up communities and then we control those communities, or at least the west side. We're already on the west side. We have 41% of the population in Dayton. 41%, but how many businesses do we have? That's because if we can begin to create a collective consciousness among our people where we look out for each other, then like the Chinese, you don't hear of no white supremacists going into Chinatown shooting up no Chinese people. They're just not going to do it. Why? Because they know, number one, that the police won't make it in there in time for them to make it out. This white boy over there, in Texas? Now here we have our brother John Crawford with a toy gun being shot down, and they're walking this white boy out to his car, and he done killed like 20 people. So I just wanted to say that, and the pastor already knows this verse in the scriptures. It says that the devil has come down with great wrath because he knows that he has a short time left.
Absolutely.
What I'm saying to us today is that what we're looking at right now is the worst is yet to come. Because Frances Cress Welsing, she used to talk about the white man having a fear of genetic annihilation. He sees the immigrants, he sees all these populations growing, and did you all know that once you reach 1.6% population, that you can no longer repopulate yourself? You're at a birth dearth, you're at a decline. Do you know that the white population right now, they're at a birth dearth, and they see by, they say 2030, that the so-called minority population will equal the white population, and then from that point on begin the game. So this is real. I hope you all don't think that I'm just saying, white people are this or white people. I'm just telling you the reality of the situation, and I'm looking at history. So when you look at history, there's countless number of cases where the white man has felt threatened. Of course, one of the biggest ones, we can talk about Nazi Germany. We can talk about what's going on over there in Palestine right now. We can talk about what happened in South Africa. But we don't want to talk about that right here, because we can learn the lessons of history and we can respond appropriately. I do agree, of course, that we should elect our own local officials, because all politics is local.
Absolutely.
And that's where our power is. We put our people into place who have an agenda that they will carry out for us. So I don't want to take up any more time. Thank you, Pastor, once again.
Well, he kind of touched, I guess, what brought me here, I guess I had a lot of reflections yesterday, earlier, during the day. It was my class reunion weekend, but I chose to stay at the Marriott, and I sat back in the lobby watching people, talking to all different kind of people, but I kept sitting back when I sat back outside, I was in a couple's space, and I sat there, I was like, okay, they're white, and, I'm like, hey, how you doing? And I sat there, they were playing their music, and I just liked the vibe. Mm-hmm. So all day I just had this creepy feeling. And it goes back how I feel, and I guess coming today, our young people that are black and mixed, that go to Oregon, are hipsters, that Ned Pepper is like an urban spot where, everybody hangs out. They're playing music outside, any entertainment district across the world that you don't have to feel. If you're entertaining a family from out of town, you'd be like, let's go to the Oregon district, or this is like our mini Georgetown. People are people.
Right.
And as a human, I don't feel, domestic terrorism. I look from California to the Garlic Festival, people, Hispanics at El Paso at Walmart, where it's all Hispanics in there. If you visit Texas and El Paso, so you know what that Walmart is, no doubt. And listening to their governor and their mayor talk so calmly, but it's real in Texas.
That's right, it is real.
Dayton, it's real here.
That's right.
People calling me at 2 a.m, Millie, because I might go down to Oregon District because it's late in the evening where you can still get food on the streets. There's vendors, there's people, there's vegan, you're just hanging out. And yesterday was beautiful. And, the Dragons game, we had a funk festival in Dayton. I was just so proud that it was so many opportunities. My classmates coming back in Dayton, and we could have really hung out, but we were just together in the Caroline Park, so we weren't all over the city like we could have been. So today when I woke up and I was like, oh, it's so much sadness. My nieces are crying. They've lost friends. They were if somebody had called them and said, hey, come and meet us at Ned Pepper's, leave down here, they would have been right there in the doorway running for their lives. Not thinking that was like, well, let's go to Oregon District. It's safe down there. We ain't got to go to Sheik's or the other places. I don't go there. I'm going down to Ned Pepper's because it's cool. It's mixed. But domestic terrorism, this white guy it's the underground. We know it's an underground world out there.
It is.
Somebody is feeding them hate.
That's right. You're right. No lone wolves.
It's real.
That's right.
I, as a human being, I am Millie Smith, but I don't want to have that kind of rage.
No.
But because I get tested a lot, and I don't play those kind of games. I have multicultural friends.
Right.
I'm not, sometimes they say, Bill, you could be racist, but no, I'm not. But I don't play games with people.
Right.
Treat me with a respect. If I go south of town, I feel like my money is green.
That's right.
I don't care if you spring world, but
Shit.
I've seen, that's why I was like testing the waters yesterday. Just like, okay, what if I just sit there and somebody just like come in here and just start shooting? I mean, just how some people look at you like anger.
Right.
Like look at you past you because you're black. You know, like, why are you sitting here? I've seen people. One time I was in the Roost, sitting at the bar, and I love the Roost. That's one of my favorite places. But this gentleman at the end, he looked at me like, I dare you. Like, his wife, don't sit here on the edge. I was like, I went up to him.
Ridiculous.
And said, don't you ever do that.
That's
I
right.
made him so red.
That's right.
You're not going to disrespect me. I don't care who you. I know Dayton. I spend my money here
That's
all
right.
the time.
That's right.
I frequent places that I like.
That's right.
I like what I like.
That's right.
But it doesn't, so I guess today, and I was like, all this other thing, everything else going around in the city, and I just ended up here, and I feel good.
Yeah.
I already know about the politics of all, it just makes me scream. But other than domestic terrorism as
Right.
Americans is right here.
Yeah. Rooted.
And they're underground.
Yeah.
You listen, you go on Twitter, you see what
Right.
they're saying. Like he just told him, like, go shoot up some people. I dare you.
Yeah.
Let me see. It's mental illness on this because they're sick people.
Yeah.
But they're taught hate. His mother took him to Trump Tower. The little boy from Bellbrook, he was bullied. Okay, he's a grown man.
Right.
Bully what? Bully. Okay.
Yeah. Like,
That doesn't make it right,
No.
but I see pictures of him with Trump, so I know with Trump's world, they were fighting Thursday at the rally downtown Cincinnati. I would dare not go in there because I know I probably would be, I'm not going around
No.
those rallies because I
That's
know I
right.
would be pissed off, ready to fight, but I'm like, oh, I was there, I already know what it is.
right.
But it's real.
It is real. It
And
is
it's like love or hate, and I keep preaching love will win.
Yeah.
I come to this church because I just feel like love will win.
That's right.
And if the leadership, that if I can't find the proper person to lead, I just feel like we don't have no leadership
Right.
in this city
Right.
that is authentic.
Yeah.
And it's real. I don't have an Art Thomas,
Right.
her uncle.
Yes.
We had a model cities. We don't have strong black men in here like
Right.
we should.
That's right. You're right.
You know,
You're
Art
right.
Thomas told people how he felt a long time.
Yeah. Sister, you're right. You're absolutely right. I'm feeling what you're feeling.
And I mean, it's just, I get frustrated about all the politics. I don't give
I
a
know,
damn
right?
about Mike Turner. Okay, he ain't shit. We know that. Excuse me. We know all this.
Keeping it
What
real.
else? Okay, they gonna get the vote, and then what? You can't go. I'm not. I get turned off about. It's a lot of, like he said, a lot of.
Yeah.
I'm in the meeting to the next meeting, and what we gonna do? Take charge. Let's move
Let's
through
take
it.
charge, right.
Make it national level. This local stuff is over with.
Right.
Dayton is getting national attention for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All this year.
I'm sorry. I don't even.
No, that was
upset. I don't
it's
even.
on point. It's on point. It's real.
That's what I was going to kind of piggyback on what you're saying. These meetings, and I have to agree with this young man. These meetings are comforting, and that's fabulous.
That's exactly right.
And that's a wonderful thing. But, I'll stand up, because that'll make my point. The problem is that we don't take ideas and agenda and strategy away from these meetings.
Right.
It is a waste of time to keep sitting here talking who gives a crap about white supremacy. It has been here since the beginning of
That's
Europe.
right. That's right.
for you.
Europe is big. Europeans
All the
are.
cuss people out this morning, you should have heard the sermon this morning. Kenya said, I can never get no money from Dayton City Hall.
That's all right.
White
It's all
Europeans
right.
are white supremacists. Okay. They are powerful, they have numbers, and they have money. But guess what? so does African
Come on.
Americans.
Amen.
We are think about what we've been through and what we've come through, and here we are. We cannot walk away from another meeting. We can't walk away with having this beautiful, smart, intelligent young woman in our presence and not ask her, tell us what to do for you.
Right.
You don't need to tell us what you're gonna do for us. Tell us
Right.
what we're gonna do for you to get you in office so Mike Turner can get out.
Yes.
The bottom
That's
line
right.
is that we sit in these meetings, this millennial young man is white.
Yes.
We pontificate, we talk about how fabulous we are, we plan award ceremonies, we pat each other on the back and say, look at my blackness. It's not enough. Our blackness is no longer enough.
That's right.
Our agenda, our strategy, our
on.
planning is what we need to do. So
That's right.
I am asking you, and I'll commit to this. I wrote a post today and say, I am part of the problem because I have done nothing to stem and quell the violence in Dayton. I have not done anything. I have not done enough. So each, every one of us, especially the young people who are sitting here, tell us, I have Black Lives Matter Miami Valley. Message me. Tell me give us just three items. 3 things that we can come together. 3 things that we can come together and make change. We don't need 25 different things to do because guess what? We get lost in the shuffle when we try to do too much. We can do so much. So message me. Tell me 3 things you need to do when we decide to vote.
Okay.
Tell me 3 things you need to do as a congressional person so that we can get you in office. Tell us 3 things we need to do for the young lady who just lost her life. Message me on Black Lives Matter Miami Valley. Tell me 3 things you think we could do to comfort ourselves to get through this. Tell us spiritually, 3 things that we can do to get our community over the tragedy and the heartfelt emotions that we're feeling. You've been and you've run for office. Tell us 3 things we need to do to make sure this young lady is in office. You know, if you're going to run, tell us you're going to run so that we can get on board with you. Deion Sampson is running. Shanice Turner Sloss is running. Does everybody know who they are?
Yeah.
You need to know who they are so that we vote for them. We do not, and I'm not trying to run things, do not leave this meeting without having some absolute productive, objective agenda ideas. So when we walk away from here, Kenya she is the Barbara Walters of the community.
That's right.
She can pass this information on to the masses. And then we come back together not to talk, but say, these are the 3 things we want to accomplish. And let's say at the next meeting that 6 weeks from now, we have accomplished those things. Do not leave this meeting without having some idea of what we need to do to get our community moving, period.
That's right. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Pastor, then King, and then the sister. You yielding? All right.
So me?
Yes.
Alright. So, I'm Tyler Sachs. I got a group page I call Black Activists United. And like everybody in here is activists and we come together to do things, and that's when I posted on that page, like when he gave me those tables and just different things like that. But I agree with my brother, man. I say that every time. Yo-Yo probably got tired of hearing me say that all the time. It's coming to these different organizations and different meetings and stuff like that. We usually say that, like, you know, we need to take steps to go for it and stuff like that, but I was going to go a step further. Because one of the things you said, Stephen, is something that I said not too long ago was, why don't we just pick a building? You know what I'm saying? We go all kick into this one building. And it could be a snowball effect. It might start with just us in here, but if we get it rolling, who knows who else to kick into us getting this one building? I mean, like, we got people that don't live in our community that got all the corner stores, all the hair salons, everything.
Yeah.
I'm from Cleveland. I ain't even from Dayton. I don't even live in Dayton, but I see the problems because it's the same thing that I just left of.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
In a bigger city. So I'm just saying, like, today, like, one step could be like just picking a building, like any building. And when we get this building, we can put whatever we want to in it. And it ain't even got to be a big building. It could be something small that show that we can do this, y'all. Like a little corner store or something like that, where We kick into this one and say, forget that one. You know what I'm saying? And then we can go to them corner stores where these Arabs is and all that stuff. You know, they taking money from us, but they ain't never giving us nothing. We can say, man, we about to start this little summer camp. We need y'all to kick in a few dollars,
That's
man.
right.
Because we kick into y'all every day, all day.
And we,
Whatever we get, we go to you all the time. So, man, we need y'all to kick in.
or else.
Or else.
Or else.
Or else.
else.
We're giving
I'm telling
them-
y'all these things that I've seen the ancestors do. I follow the Black Panthers. I love them.
Right.
Oh yeah, and I love Dr. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, rest in peace. I love her. She got me all the way together on
Yes,
white
sir.
supremacy and racism.
Right.
And its totality. You know what I'm saying? So I like that you brought her up. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, maybe we can take some steps like getting something like a corner store or small building. We could like we could hold our own meetings in there for free without having to try to squander around and figure out where we're gonna have a meeting at, or just anything, man. Like, I mean, I was telling yo that not too long ago too, man. Like, they really don't listen to us because we don't own nothing. We don't have nothing. And then another one of the problems I feel like one thing that we could do is like talk to these young folks or talk to the people in our community or in Dayton on the west side, man. I'm a foot soldier. I like to get in the face of those people that got drugs on them, got guns on them. I ain't afraid of none of that.
Right.
And I get in their face. I've done it. I do that, though. I got a lot of kids that look up to me all the time now.
Right.
I just reunited with one a couple days ago. I was happy to see him, and he's doing good. Got 1 year left in school, about to graduate. You know what I'm saying? So I feel love is action. Action, you know, and that's what I do. I constantly do that. It takes me a minute to get out here, but I'm always out here. It's like a 30-minute drive to get out here. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm on the Green Cat bus or whatever, but I do it though. So if I could do it, y'all right here, let's get it. And then when everybody in here, like Kenya said earlier, like it's a lot of people in here that's action. So yeah, we should be able to come up with something before we leave. And that's my suggestion, like a building.
That's a good one.
It's a bunch of them on the west side. Or like any of these abandoned houses, it's a bunch of them. I'm a handyman.
Right.
So we ain't gotta worry about paying somebody. Like we could put up different little fundraisers or whatever to get the equipment. I put the house together myself.
Right.
And I know handy people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And if we own these houses, like we get the 2-for-1. We can rent off somebody to stay there, and we can choose the rent that we want. And it ain't gotta be nothing crazy. We could get those bad slumlords up out of there because we charge them cheaper than the next person. And the property value of the area go up because people are living in these houses now. And if it's too bad to get fixed up, then we can knock it down and put a community garden there or something. And that's what I'm saying. So
I love what you said. You know what? I think that.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry, she had her hand up.
One thing that I have not been able to stop thinking about is a project that's in the back of my mind that I do not have the resources to implement. And it's called a community development coalition. Because there are developers that will come from overseas with lots and lots of money, and they will buy whole neighborhoods. We know that community development worked in the right site, whatever neighborhood around here. And so there are places in cities where we can't afford to live, but urban gentrification is very popular right now. So there are countless cities not on the East Coast, not on the West Coast, and not in popular cities south, west, east, north of here, that are still experiencing exceedingly low and reasonable property value and property taxes. And there can be coalitions of people who work from the grassroots level to solicit developers and to develop nonprofits and solicit funding so that developers can decide that we can have a series of black communities in cities. And I'm sure that white people would support this because this means that we would not be competing for real estate in cities that they are enjoying their opportunities in.
And they don't have to pay for it.
Whereas many cities that we've previously enjoyed in previous decades are not accessible to us financially right now, or even not reasonable, or even not how we do want to spend the money that we do have. There are cities like Atlanta's big now, but there are cities now, there are many, many, many cities that are underdeveloped. And so if there was an urban development coalition formed through a series of 501c3s that were able to develop, solicit donations, all we would need would be a prison system, a hospital system, a school system, and then the retail would immediately follow. And then a municipality would immediately be developed. I know there are people here who lived here who remember when Beaver Creek did not exist. Like there was none of that retail existed. There was a mall at the end of 70. There was a mall at both ends of Route 70, basically. this is a long time ago, I'm dating myself, and I don't even care. And so you were either gonna go to the Dayton Mall or you were gonna go to the Springfield Mall, and there was no retail commerce in any of these other places. And all of those things has happened in the last, and then fill in the blank with the number of decades that I've seen, years. So a community development coalition is a very real thing that can happen with somebody who knows what it takes to have a 501c3. That's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say is, as far as being an active constituent and a responsible voting American, for those of us who are still able to legally register to vote, you know, how do we struggle with this problem? Some of our leaders will do what we ask them to do. Some of our leaders will do what we tell them to do. And some of our leaders will do anything if we come to them with a comprehensive agenda. They will do anything to serve us. And some of our leaders will absolutely do everything to obstruct us. And those are all very different people, and we need to vote for any of them.
You said we need to vote for it?
Yes, we do. We need to vote for any of them. There are those who will
We
do.
need to vote, period.
There are those leaders who will do what we ask them to do. If we write a bunch of letters to them and we ask them, they'll say, oh, there's more than 20 people and they're asking me, I better do it. And there are those who will do what we tell them to do. You must do this, and they will do it. There are those of us who will do whatever it takes to serve us if we come to them with a comprehensive agenda that we have developed through a unified like idea. Like if we come up with an idea, there are those who would do anything to serve that idea. And as if we were a constituent base and we came up with an idea like the community, like the urban development, they would do anything to serve us. Like finally, these people are paying attention to the fact that they are self-empowered and that it is not an us and them world, and that, you know, they need to stop looking at us like this because it makes us feel guilty and it makes them look stupid. If we tell them what we want and we come up with a plan, they will do anything to serve us. I think it would be surprising to see how many of those there are, and there are those who will do anything to obstruct and destroy us. And they are also real, and they are also American, and they are also in office.
Can you write down your name, phone number, email, and
I
then,
think Kenya said somebody else was next.
Desiree.
So, a few things, I was taking notes. So I really enjoyed listening to everyone's ideas and what we're saying, but I would be remiss if I didn't say all three of these things. One is, I think it's so beautiful that we're having this conversation across multiple generations, right? And so we have quite an age range here with different ideas that I think can foster some real power and some real movement. Two, we were at the Dream meeting, and we were just talking about starting an investment club and putting together our resources and identifying projects and opportunities for us as a community to invest in and grow our wealth economically, sort of for us, by us. And in terms of the third thing, what you all can do for people like me. So I'm young, I'm black, I'm not rich. I recognize the privilege I have in some of the contacts and connections I made while in DC, but that's about as far as my privilege extends,
Right.
In terms of that. So I do need economic support. I need people power, because when I went into some spaces and they were like, oh, do you think you can do it? We think this other white guy would probably be a better fit. We already picked out this white guy. And I was like, well,
That's right.
he ain't gonna get the black vote.
That's right.
So the power in the unity that we can have, that is power in and of itself.
That's
why I'm
right.
saying people power. That means a lot. It means a lot, just as much as money. In people power and action, standing up. So I told Kenya this, and I wasn't gonna tell anybody because it was a little scary, but I was leaving a picnic and two white guys in a pickup truck followed me from the Democratic picnic down Germantown, and they were swerving, or Nicholas Road, and they were swerving behind me. And I assumed, because I was listening to the presidential debates on the radio, maybe I'm not driving fast enough. So I slowed down and said, go around. And I looked back and I realized they weren't trying to go around me, they were trying to intimidate me.
Right.
And so they swerved and tailed my car for a while, and I drove them to the DeSoto Baths. And they made a U-turn. And that's what I thought. And so it's things like that.
That's right.
We gotta have each other's back. We
That's
cannot
right.
tear each other down. We have to build in coalitions and work together, and we may not agree on everything
That's
the
right.
same way, but we can still make some progress, y'all. So we have to be united. And so just like, I don't know how many people I still know that live in the Basques, they probably moved away by now, maybe some people are still there, but I know that they knew where I was taking them and they made
Right.
a U-turn. So just power like that we really do have. We have it. We have it. So I do think it's great that we're listening to each other. Let's definitely put these agenda items into action. I think the Dayton Young Black Professionals are doing an excellent job with the dream meetings and putting it together. And although it is for the younger people, there were people of all ages at the last meeting, so I think everyone should come together and we should find a way to work together to achieve some of those agenda items that we as millennials, young black millennials, people from Dayton, people who have moved here for school, that we are really trying to work on together. So I would love to see everyone get involved and come together on that, on the economic plan, because what I hear in terms of the African American agenda is economic and money issues. So.
Thank you. Wait a minute, Nate, Joelle.
I believe that God is divine. And we talk about economic issues, two things. We have $10 million that's coming to our community. When we talk about accountability, when we talk about agenda, when we're talking about this meeting, we need to hold our city commissioners and our county commissioners accountable. And I've talked about this in my post about that $10 million.
Yeah.
We need to decide and put together a plan and come to them and say, these are the kind of things we want to see in our community.
That's good.
And the West Dayton African American Fund is wonderful. But I have not seen a whole bunch of economic development and entrepreneurship come up out of that. That's sustainable. So we need to be honest about our resources. But we have $10 million sitting in a fund regarding the landfill. That is a golden opportunity when we talk about economic development and what our next steps are going to be. Second thing I want to say is that when we talk about political power, congressional seats are wonderful, but you guys need to know that your political power rests in your state legislator. It doesn't make a difference what the federal government legislates. It is up to the states to implement those laws in their state as they see fit. So when we talk about political power, when we talk about political agendas, please do not forget your state rep seats. Those are critical. They take all the federal laws and legislation and they implement them in the states as they see fit. Now, Congress is great. That's where the power lies locally.
Right.
Then your county commissioners, your city commissions implement what the state tells them to do. Not what Congress, but what the state tells them to do. So as we look at things politically, I'm sure a lot of people know that. I just want to break that down so you understand how the power flows in a community, your state rep. And so when we talk about leaving here with a plan, hopefully we could think about or whatever, what does that $10 million look like? Premier still has some giving they need to do. They haven't finished giving. And they're giving, they're giving under the table to different organizations that are not publicized, and that's all right. But like she said, we come together with a comprehensive plan, one thing, two or three things, what we want that money to look like for the West Side.
So what's one thing that we need to do? I mean, right now. I know I'm doing it again.
But
I'm
I'm
sorry.
gonna
I can tell you, but I don't.
What we're gonna do, Yolanda, because I know you're serious. You formed Black Lives Matter, Miami Valley, a long time ago, right? You're serious about
Not me,
that,
but
but you led it.
I'm part of it.
Amen. So we're gonna help you. Steve and I have a media platform, and we're gonna get a poll going, so we can really poll a lot of people in Dayton. Go
Okay.
ahead.
To that $10 million, I know the co-chair of it. He's African American, and he told me about it. He's the co-chair of the West Dayton Development Fund, and in their bylaws, it's only used for like gap funding. So basically, that money can only be used for 20% of a project. So like they gotta get the 80%. So that money, so at first they only gave $5 million, and then Willie just announced last week, we're gonna put the whole 10 of the.
Well, we made that decision.
Well,
That doesn't automatically go to the West Dayton Development Fund. That's what I'm talking about. It doesn't automatically have to go to the West Dayton Development Fund.
Yeah, but John is like he manages it, like the fund. He's like the fund.
I know John Lumpkin.
Yeah, so he pretty much told me like his hands are tied to really do stuff for the community because somebody else got to put up like 80%. And then one other thing I was gonna say is opportunity zones. So like back to the economic thing, opportunity zones, there's 17 opportunity zones in the city of Dayton, and investors from all around the United States are about to like swoop in on Dayton to invest in like real estate, because when they invest in the opportunity zone area, they get like a 10 to 15 year tax deferment. And so basically, majority of the opportunity zones are on the west side of Dayton, and so a ton of white investors like from all different places are coming in to invest. And the city of the west, so citywide already has like a West Dayton development vision plan. Yeah, and so like basically they have all the different projects like knocking down some of the affordable housing, putting up new housing, all these different things. They have like them all listed out in that plan. You can find it online for free. And they need funding sources. And it says pretty much like to be determined who's gonna fund this different project. So basically, they're waiting for some investors to swoop in and invest in these projects so that the gentrification can like be accelerated because of this new thing called opportunity zones in the tax legislation for the Jobs Tax Act that Donald Trump just passed like 2017. So this is something that I feel like we really should be like learning about in our community, because we can take control of that area if we can either like find like investors, or we can put together our own opportunity zone fund where these investors can put their money in. They'll get their tax break, but we can direct that money into projects in opportunity zone areas, which is the hood most. Like there's 8,700 opportunity zone areas in the United States.
So again, I'm saying that the Urban Development Coalition at the grassroots level with other like-minded people who understand numbers and specifics.
Right.
And if those people were able to get together, obviously the money is there. You know, separatism isn't such a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not a bad thing. I'm sure it'd be well received in multiple communities during this
That's right.
climate that we have here. Separatism is not a bad thing. We do miss our communities. We do miss our neighborhoods. We haven't had them since we burnt them down in the 60s, right?
That's right.
So it seems, again, I'm saying like an urban development coalition from the grassroots level who can get the knowledge, so that the knowledge we do have, and then we also have to guard against corruption, because if the windfall money comes, obviously the money's there. If we had a plan, there are people who would bend over backwards to help us put it into motion, because then it would be balanced, and maybe we would have separate for a while, but that's all right.
It's all right.
Just to let you guys know, we're not perfect expert, but Neighborhood Politics is a nonprofit organization. We've been around for 5 years, and that's what we do. That's our specialty. I'm a planner by trade. Shanice is a planner, economic development person by trade, and Mika's expertise is in workforce development. And we are launching our CDC. It doesn't have to be with you guys, but that is our next goal. I think, Ken, you know a little bit about that. We're launching our Community Development Corporation, where we move into the neighborhoods, and our plan has always been a block-by-block plan. So just, there's a lot of stuff out there, and not saying you have to use this, but let's not always reinvent the wheel. Let's see what our resources are in the community, who's doing what, who has the expertise, and let's chime in together. That's how we create that collective power.
Pastor?
So, just in respect to the three things that you were saying, I just want to add a fourth. 2016, 4 states were lost by less than a percentage point,
Tell the truth.
and 77,000 votes were lost overall. Of those 77,000 votes, we have never in West Dayton succeeded or gone beyond 45% of black voting. If we were to get at 40% of black voting, we would win not just the congressional race, but we would win the election permanently, because they're tapped out in Cuyahoga County up there near Cleveland. They can't turn out any more votes there in the Democratic hole. I start in that space because one of the things that the John Moore Center wants to think about, number one, is the census that's coming up. That we need to be in the business of working with some of underemployed millennials and people in our churches and mosques to make sure that they have a job going forward and learning their communities and counting census. The census is going to be a make or break opportunity for the next 50 years, because we've already been pushed to the side and she's seen this congressional district be all but chopped up
Yeah.
in ways that our Thomas and my
Gerrymandering.
father, Jimmy Dale and Charles Whitehead would have never imagined when they started the Black Panther Party. So the first thing is to, to think about the census, that we have to begin to count and represent ourselves so we actually know the power and the strength that we have to begin to develop our own green book. The second thing that I think is very important is that census to begin to help us roll into a really firm understanding of who we are registering to vote. Because if you can't register to vote, if because you have a prior or you've been convicted once or twice or whatever, we need to begin to see who's in your family that can help you get what you need to do to expunge that record. One of the things that we've done at the John Moore Center is work with able law practices and some other people to make sure that they get their record together so you can register in time to vote. And so when we talk about, for me, the third thing about why tonight and tomorrow I'll march by myself is because we just need to have a space in place where we take advantage of the platform that's been given. Now, when I say take advantage, I'm not talking about at the expense of those people who have died, not by any stretch of the imagination. But they do need to see people from West Dayton in force because they're never going to go down the street. One of the things that Kenya and I laugh about often, you'll laugh about this too, white people feel that they can come to McKinley, they can be in West Dayton without being in West Dayton.
Right.
Right?
That's right.
For some people, to cross that bridge, they have not done that in decades. But they feel like they can say they're in West Dayton without actually being in West Dayton.
Right.
So one of the things that we want to do tonight is just make sure we do just that, is to take that initial step for me to show a solidarity. I think you're absolutely right relative to the family. The only thing I would like to do, and I don't want to call you son, or even though you're old enough to be, even though you're old enough to be my son, is that I want us to actually talk to the family and whoever has assessed the needs of the families before we begin to give them anything or do anything. Because what you never want is to have one of the families go online and see that there's a GoFundMe site or a giving application on their behalf without their permission. That causes more trauma than anything. One of the things that Mother Sister's responding to right now is that that's just that PTSD. That all of those feelings that you've been holding up for all those decades and no one's ever asked you or been willing to listen to you about what's really going on. So I think that the census and the voter registration is important. And once we assess the needs of the family, I think that we begin to move in the direction that you ladies have been talking about with community development corporations. But I don't want us to never dismiss the fact that we're here because 9 people got killed. So before we try to save the rest of West Dayton, just tonight, can we not dismiss the fact that 9 people got killed? I think that's important. Like, I'm not dismissing anything that we're saying. I think it's all relative and important. I want to help you buy. I've been looking at some properties to buy. I can put you to work right here upstairs at the church. There's stuff to do here. You know what I mean? To put you on. But I don't want us to dismiss the fact that 9 people lost their lives. And he was so deranged, which now is just coming out, that he shot his sister in the car before he went outside and shot everybody else.
Yeah, she died.
22.
Yeah.
And you know what? 22.
So just for your, I'll be finished. Just for your 3 things for me, I would like for us to get a full assessment of what the condition the family is in so we can see how we can best support them.
And that's just one family, one of the victims.
I said families, I'm sorry, families, to see how we can best assist them. Because I think the overwhelming support, it doesn't matter which organization that we direct that energy to, I think that's important. I think the second thing is that we show a sense of solidarity both tonight and tomorrow. And then I think that when's the last time that we had a grassroots campaign relative to the census and actually know what's in our community?
Just a community partnership specialist assigned to this area, figure out who that person is.
Because one of the things that this young man was brilliantly talking about relative to the homes and what's going on, the pattern and the idea for some of these people downtown is to mimic what's happening in Cincinnati. But what they don't have is they don't have Procter & Gamble, they don't have GE, they don't have Chiquita, and they don't have Fifth Third. And so what they're gonna do is literally be squatters on this property until the property value finds itself back up. So they'll be empty. Now, absolutely, that's what you're saying. How can we put ourselves in this space so we can be the renters of our own property? And I think that's part of the Sisters platform, and you gotta hold her feet to the fire to make sure that because the wages begin to go up at a rate that people can actually afford to live into the houses that we renovate.
And then back home in Cleveland, I just want to say, like, I've seen, like, the projects I grew up in and the houses around where I grew up, like, there was, I mean, bando, one house, and then like 5 more bandos, and it was so, it wasn't no grass, it was just dirt. I mean, it was ugly, man, and they kicked us out. I mean, literally just kicked us out, because there wasn't that many of us to kick out.
Right.
And now, when you go there, you can't even tell that it was bricks over there. Like, I mean, you got white folks jogging with art galleries and valet parking and all kind of stuff.
And I'm saying that if you look at Cleveland, like, for instance, there's 130,000 people in the city of Dayton proper. 58,000 of them are African American. 80+% of those people that are African American are at or below the poverty level. So one of the things that we want to make sure is that if we're building our capacity, is where are the jobs coming from that can sustain the houses that we want to help you renovate. If we don't have houses, we can build the houses and there won't be anybody to put in them. So that's what I'm saying relative to the 80% plan from the West Dayton Fund. It's sitting there for a reason because we can't find, we got to rally around this sister right here. Are there enough nonprofit organizations that can move in 80% of the direction to get the rest of the 20% of the money? If we continue to sit in our different silos based on demographics, we can't do it.
That's right.
So for me, that's why the census is so vitally important. Yes,
And a
sir.
check and balance system so that when the money comes, that we don't start infighting and don't start worrying about,
Power to
and then it gets, you know, undistributed,
Right.
it's
Power
said,
to
no, not spent, not
Absolutely.
filled.
Oh, no,
not
I'll
filled.
just agree.
But I mean, am I making any sense why I
I
think
wanted to touch back on your emotional thing.
my emotions?
You talked about that, just, the reason we're here, because look, 3 things. I'm scared of my boys, they
Me
know
too. Me
with the
too.
police. We get into arguments, because I don't even want him to jog. I don't want to ride a bike. He's 24, I'm scared when he gets in the car and he moves. Then, I'm terrified of him going on some of the areas in the west side. Scared he'll get shot over there. Now I got to worry about my kid going to Walmart.
Yep.
I mean, all mothers, but for black mothers,
Yep.
the burden is, I feel like so
My mother called me
heavy.
crying this morning.
And my husband did. I don't have a covering anymore. When we talk about what we need in this community, I told my son, I don't have a man to stand over me or to help guide me or facilitate things in this community for us. So when we talk about what we need in this community, back to the emotional stuff, we need men to step up and help.
And women.
I mean it. We need men.
That's true.
These are good kids. He's a man, good kid. He told me, you can't teach me how to be a man. And he told me, the only thing I could see is single black women in my family, in the community. So when we talk about the emotional aspect of this, I'm just saying, like you said, while we're here, I don't know how we build upon that.
So how do we do it?
I don't know, I don't have the answers.
So how, I mean, we
No.
have the nation, we
You
have.
know the
Well-
nation know. Ask the nation know.
Well, I would love to get with the pastor. We get with the other pastors and we hold, I don't know how many black men, but we hold a 10,000 black men rally. And we as pastors and shepherds, we tell the men what their responsibility is, and then we ask them to take an oath, and then we at least plant a seed. Maybe many of them might not move out that moment, but we want to begin to plant a seed because as human beings, we have herd mentalities. When we see a number of us going in a certain direction, we'll begin to all go in that direction. And right now, as you're saying, nobody, it's just a few of us that are going in that direction as black men. But if we can bring some pastors together and we get a facility and we hold like a Million Man March type of event right here in the city, then we can begin to slowly but surely let the men know that it's acceptable for us to take responsibility.
Can I just say one thing? Can we not say we have to have a rally? Can we just say, can we get 10 men to show up on 3rd Street?
And that'll be the starting space, because you
Okay,
need.
but that's okay. Okay,
Yeah.
and the other thing is that I absolutely agree with you about the census. I absolutely agree with you that we need to do a lot of this urban development. But can we just get 10 people to show up at Stewart Street and say, I'm going to put $20 into something? I mean, I think that what happens in the black community is we plan these grand events for a mass number of people to show up, and we do these really great symbolic gestures. But really what we just need to do is show up on Gettysburg and 3rd and talk to the people who are on Gettysburg and 3rd. Baby, what can I get for you?
Yeah.
He shouldn't have to look for us to get diapers. He should already have 10 people who are running to help this mother and this family. And I think that what I was trying to say is that we can't keep doing grand gestures. We can't keep waiting on a 501(c)(3). We can't keep waiting on nonprofit organizations. Real grassroots movement, if you think about the Montgomery bus boycott, there were people cooking for the people who couldn't. There were people driving people to work. There were people who showing up who was cooking breakfast for the people who could not, who had to go to work. There were people providing water. I think for us, what we all already know is that when the tornado hit, how many people showed up? That's all we need to know. We have people who are going to show up without a rally, without a conference, without a forum, without a urban development, contract. People want to show they want something to do. We don't have enough leaders who are going to say, I need you to come to Salem Avenue where there's an abandoned building, and we're going to bust down this abandoned building and put something here. This young man is always talking about urban gardens. If we can just get people to show up at an empty lot,
Right.
Take over that damn lot. Quit waiting on Dayton to show up for us. We have to show up for us. So let's not do another symbolic grand rally. Let's not talk about a major, write down all, these plans. Just say, I need 10 men who are going to talk to my son and give him the love and the support and the guidance that he needs. He doesn't need 25 men or a million men. No disrespect to you.
No, that's fine.
But let's get on Facebook. I'll look at your Facebook page and let me send out
I'm
a message.
gonna take it a step there, because right now we have 4 grown men
Man, that
and
sounds
5.
good.
Wait a minute. We have 5 grown men in this room. 6. Where's the 6th one?
He's
Okay.
21.
So what I'm saying is, we can get these brothers' phone numbers.
Absolutely.
You all can give them. Don't leave here without these brothers' phone numbers. These are brothers that care about the community, and if you need to ask any type of question, they will be at your beck and call to answer those questions. Don't leave here without Nate, Steve, Pastor Matthews, Brother Tellis phone number, because they will answer. Because I know I ran a mentoring program, and mentors change the lives of children. But they just have someone 2 to 3 hours a week to spend time with them. It can stop a child from turning to gangs, turning to the streets, making a bad decision when it comes to a woman. So
Woman got nervous, got the phone.
Can I say something real quick? Real quick. I mean, I agree. Real quick. I mean, I agree with what Sister is saying, and disagree at the same time. I do think that even if we don't call a big rally, as pastors and preachers, we need to come together. We need to show from the top that we can come together and unite. You know what I mean? And then we can figure out a strategy and a plan as black men who are leaders of multitudes of congregations, that we can come together, we figure out a plan for the men, in our community. We may not have to have a rally, but I think as leaders, we should come together and do that.
Well,
All right, real quick.
yep.
You a spiritual leader?
Might give me again, 'cause I've been saying this
Kinda.
thing. But, I just want to say, like, that's what I was doing back home in Cleveland, though. Like, I kind of straddled the fence a little bit. And it was a program called the Get On Track program that was created by a few black judges back home in Cleveland. They teamed up with Jim Brown, the Cleveland Browns running back legend. And he had a group called the Grand Camp program. And he started different chapters in different troubled cities. And what they did was, like, instead of you picking up this new charge, you go through this program, then you don't get that charge. And that's what I did. Like, Judge Moore, she seen me and said, I hate my last name, but she said, Gage, is that you again? Come on, boy, come up here to the podium. And she had me come up. She said, didn't I say when I saw you guys gonna put you in jail? She said, boy, get out of here. She put me in jail. Well, she just put me back in the little holding tank. Then she brought me out after she cleared everybody out of the courtroom. She put me in that she put me in that program. I completed it, but I stayed with the program. And what the leader of that chapter in Cleveland was doing is something that I took with me everywhere I went, though. Like, he would go into the ugliest parts of Cleveland, some areas I probably shouldn't have been in at that time. You know what I'm saying? And he would go straight up to him. I mean, we would go to every vigil. It was a couple of vigils I was at with him where people were just doing drive-by shooting into the vigils at people, like these gangs retaliating against one another. But we would go up to the young folks. I mean, whoever it was, guns, drugs, whatever. They got it on them as we talking to them. You know what I'm saying? And that's right up my alley, though, like young folks. Like, I mean, when I was in Xenia, you know what I'm saying? I was taking my own money from Taco Bell when I was working there on Main Street. And I was buying boxing gloves, mouthpieces, and wraps. All them little kids, they look up to me. No matter where I stand, the little kids love me, though. Like, we go together like peanut butter and jelly. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my alley. And I was going to say, like, I was trying to jump in there and say, like, with us that's here, like, we could go to 3rd Street or Salem or Buy More for Less or wherever where we know it's going to be jumping at, like us in here.
Yeah.
Instead of me, because I put up a post on my page and I get like 32 likes and won't 32 people show up. But y'all in here with me right now, so I was going to say, if y'all want, we can go down there and just be with me. I'll talk to the young folks. I'll get out in their face because, like I said, I ain't afraid of none of that. And like, I mean, that's where I believe we're going to find our soldiers. And that's how we mold the city too, man, because, I mean, they'll listen to us. And if you listen to, I mean, if you give them that little bit of time, man, they'll listen to you. Because I used to do it like, it was a kid in Yellow Springs, man. I would meet with him every Wednesday from 7 to about 8 o'clock or 9 if he was allowed to because of his mom. And I mean, to this day, man, he still look up to me a little bit. He'll hit me up. There's some guys from Cleveland that hit me up. And like I said, I reunited with one of my boys like just a couple days ago, man. And if y'all willing to do it, Pastor, Steve,
let's work something out.
Like, we can pick a day next week, and I'll be out here. Like, y'all want to do Thursday or something? Like, after this little meeting is over with, man, maybe we can huddle. Like,
Let's do that.
and do something.
We can do that,
Sometimes,
brother.
like, I'm not saying people look at me so positive. Somebody look at me and they say, oh, Joel's strong. Or she's doing this in the community. She'll need our help. I don't have boys that are in trouble. I need I need men to help talk to them. I think it's just like, don't do it. Don't do it, don't you know? So that's what I'm saying. When you look at some of your sisters out in the community, you're thinking they're strong, but we're struggling. We're talking about things you can do immediately.
But I think part of the thing too, and it's right to what you're saying, and just, it's not even a disagreement, is I think that we need to get together to see what's already happening.
Right.
Like, I think there are a lot of opportunities for things that are going on. We got job programs here. People have job programs in other places to push people in that direction. I think a lot of times we begin to start all over and we reinvent the wheel in the anxiety of the moment. One of the things that I think is important when people decompress in spaces like this is just to hear what the possibilities are, and then we can begin to put people in spaces where they get the help that's needed. And so that's not doing anything. I just think it allows us to have an opportunity to make sure that not only you're not redoing the wheel, but also that you're making a maximum impact on what's already available. And I think that there are some programs that are immediately available to us that we could have never imagined before. But we got to make sure, do we know where they are? And so not just about getting their phone numbers, but also making sure then what's the next step relative to, you know, I'm not promoting any program, but just for, say, Sinclair Community College, They've got a whole division of that's what they do. They take care of black men from the time that they get in. They got 3 people that will watch them each day and each week to make sure that they get that associate's degree to take the next step. Mark DeWitt makes sure, if you all know Mark DeWitt advocates on behalf of those men to make sure that they go to the spaces that need to go so that they can come to you as Central State. So I think that even in a community that feels like it's been hit by apartheid economically and socially, I think that there's still something from the remnants that we can pull from and make sense of at the same time. So, Kenya.
I just was gonna say, you know, I'm in the community, gardening, picking up litter. I had, a month back, I had to hold the bullet wound to some guy in DeSoto Bass who came and visited me at the garden and went around the corner and got shot. And I was praying it wasn't him, but when I heard the fire and the sirens, you know, we women, I just got that feeling, went around there and it was him. And nobody was taking care of direct pressure. Police was questioning them, people were filming them. So I had to have him take off his shirt and literally hold his wound. And then just yesterday, I had to stop my son from shooting another boy as I was out picking up litter because the boy didn't speak to him. And my son was with 2 other guys and they were all trying to start it. Like they were all trying to get it going. But I say all of that to say, I understand everything that's come up today.
Right.
In the wake of that, because what I have likened our community to is a war zone. And what you have last night, yes, it was 9 people at once. But do we realize that it's been almost 1 person every night all week?
Right.
We really do have an issue internally in our community. Now somebody else then came in and killed us. And we up in arms, but we've been killing each other all week.
That's right.
So I understand what we want to do when we say we want to work the gates. We want to tighten up the wall. We got to be serious about this though. We got to be really, really serious about this. And really, I had a meeting yesterday, Nate?
Yeah, it was.
And Nate, you said through my whole meeting, you felt like it was actually taking place. You are actually a thermometer now. But we are working on a community land trust, coming together, I have some major organizations for fidelity purposes, accountability purposes, to make sure money is handled, because I could care less about $1. That's one thing I appreciate about my soul more than anything. I could care less. I would live in a box. I just want to see my brothers and my sisters live in peace.
Care about the dollar, sis.
I understand the mentality, but I'm saying, me personally, I can't be bought. You know, nobody's going to come and take this dream for $1.
Right.
That's all I'm saying
Right.
when I say that. But I do understand meet at 3rd and Gettysburg. Have an agenda though.
Right.
Have an agenda, have a plan, because that's what people lack. And sometimes people show up. The one sister was so happy to hear that we weren't talking about, we already had a board and we already did all of this. But sometimes things start. They do start, like this is starting now. These organizations that are here, Everybody's Tabernacle, you know, Black Activists United, Black Lives Matter, Central State, you know, Commission Office, you know, Neighborhood Over Politics. We here. And thank you all. NOI. Thank you. United States Congress.
That's right.
That's right.
So, I have a couple things I'd like to say before we close. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to say? Yes, sir.
I got one more thing. It don't have nothing to do with, it kind of do in a sense, but tomorrow is August 5th, John Crawford Memorial, man. It'd be nice if we had some more color out there. If y'all can make that 30-minute drive like I make out here all the time, y'all can make a little, it ain't even 30 minutes because you're just going to Big Creek. So it's like 15, 20 minutes. Y'all can do that one time. Y'all do nothing else for
Where is
for John Crawford 3rd this one day. One time for the one time, y'all.
What time?
Yo-yo.
6 o'clock.
It's at 6.
It's at 6 o'clock at.
6 p.m. or 8? Or
PM.
obviously, yeah.
I don't know, y'all, we get radical sometimes.
Right.
It's five, it's not, it's five, it's five.
6, it should say 6. Yeah, it's from 6 to 7. We have a silent protest. And then we're gonna march,
Rally.
through Walmart, and then we'll have a few speakers.
No, I'm just talking about something.
Yeah, people responded and said they're coming tonight, that they wouldn't see us at 3, but they would see us tonight. So we definitely are tonight. So we have tonight at the Oregon Express, the rally. We want to push the darkness. We're light. We're positive energy. There's a purpose. Remember, the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. So we are going for a purpose. Don't think that is action. We are pushing the darkness with our positive energy, pushing it back off the Oregon district. So we're going from the Oregon Express to the corner kitchen, to the corner kitchen's end. We're going to start at 8 p.m. and we need to go and push the darkness back.
So is that in collaboration with what the city's doing, or is that something separate?
They had something at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, they're doing something at the 11 now.
But they're doing something at 8 o'clock as well.
Is that right?
Yeah, as well, which is still fine.
That's fine. I mean, yeah, the more the merrier. Amen. And then tomorrow, 6 o'clock at Beaver Creek Walmart, 6 o'clock, support John Crawford, his murder still hasn't come to justice. So let's go and say his name, 6 o'clock, Beaver Creek Walmart.
You're asking everybody to wear white.
And then the Methodist Church wants to come together and support us and pushing back the darkness. So then at 8 p.m., we're going to be back at the Oregon Express tomorrow night. So tonight and tomorrow night. Any questions? No?
Can,
Information sheet for everybody or something like that?
Summarize everything.
No, not that, I'm just saying for contact.
Or for the various, I'll put something together for us. All right, I'll put something
One
together.
inside the store or one inside Walmart?
No,
We're just marching around.
Nate, can you do me a favor? Can you, we'll get people's information today, and maybe we meet a week from Monday or in a week, just so you can have the information about the families and what are the expressed needs of the families, and how we can begin to support that. We probably have people from across the state that will be willing to provide needs for those families, and I want to make sure we galvanize what are those immediate needs.
I think the Dayton Foundation has committed to marrying them.
Okay.
But,
All of them or just low?
all
Did they set up a fund?
Did you set up a fund?
They don't mess around, do
Yeah, they got some money.
they? They don't mess around, do
My God.
they? Yes, sir, I've been waiting to hear from you.
Yeah, I'm Pastor Stacy Brewer of Everybody's Tabernacle Baptist Church.
Stacy, what?
Brewer, B-R-E-W-E-R.
That's his church on the corner, Dearborn.
I'm just I'm glad to be here. Kenya texted me, and of course, you know, we could be busy on Sunday for pastors. And surely it was, but I thought it was important. I've been born and raised here in Dayton, and my family's here, raising children that's here, and I got a large family, nephews and nieces, and it's important that I support, you know, positivity, you know, and so I just came out to see what kind of help I could be. So in this brief time, I've gained some information that I didn't know just by, you know, being here. I've seen some people and met some people, and you know, what I've learned is just take what's positive out of whatever and use it. If it was some, you know, differences of, you know, we want to do it this way, we shouldn't do it this way, that way, whatever. Take the positive out of whatever you gain here. So we was here for a reason. You take the positive. If nobody else take whatever information, I've gathered some information, just even, you know, for the census, or this young lady was talking about how we, you know, put people in position, and with this young lady also, how we should politically, prepare ourselves. And I'm just here, to do something positive, and that's what I'm here for. So I'm not here to criticize anybody. If the information wasn't beneficial to me, then hey, it just went past me. But I'm focusing on the information that was beneficial. Just like I met this gentleman, like Kenya said, and I didn't know she knew him, but he had his page and he said he's having his rally. It's in my neighborhood of my church, And I reached out to him and I said, what can I do? I didn't say, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I asked him, I said, what can I do? And they said they might need some tables. I said, sure. We met up, not only one time, but 2 times, and that's all I'm saying. Sometimes we just need to do what we can, give what we can, it don't take a whole lot, because like everybody was saying, I realized the resources are here. Sometimes it's just communicating. The resources are here. Not only I'm talking about here, but in our city, and it's here. We got people in places already. I know Millie. I know Millie, and I work across the street from her. And I know this young man right here. He's very familiar. I don't know where I know him from, but I know him. He's very familiar. What's your name, young man?
Yari.
Huh?
Yari.
Do I look familiar to you? Because
yes.
Where do I know you from?
I know he does sports and all that.
Okay, probably sports, or what school you go to?
Stivers.
Stivers. Well, my daughter graduated from Stivers, so that's probably one review. But what I'm saying is that we have the resources. We have the resources right here. And, nobody, if everybody had the right answers, we would have, it would have been done already. So, don't knock anybody else's, ideal.
Right.
If we had the answer, then hey, this wouldn't even be a meeting. We didn't even have a meeting.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, it's being positive just because we showed up.
Amen.
But I do agree, yes, let's take something from it. We have plenty of meetings, but we just don't take nothing from those meetings and positive and put something, as policy like this young lady was speaking and move forward with it. But it's still positive. I met you, that's positive. I understand where you're coming from, so that's positive already. I met this young man, and here's this thing. If I would have got set on, okay, he's practicing a different type of faith, a different type of belief, and I wouldn't have reached out to him, then I would have said that would have been a knob on my community, a young person's life, I'm thinking, you know what I'm saying? But I believe in Jesus Christ. I've been born to that. I believe that. Same, just like this young man here. But if we can't, we got to get past our own agenda and come together. And that's what I'm saying. I reached out just because I said, shouldn't I reach out? Because he's in my neighborhood doing positive things. Right. So I reached out to him and I said, what can I do? That was my question. Beautiful. My first question was, what can I do? And if I couldn't have done what he asked for, I would say I can do it, or maybe I'll find somebody, I'll call somebody. But just so happens, the very small little thing that he asked for, that he needed, and that's how me and him connected. Then I got to know and found out that he knew Kenya, because Kenya said, I know Pastor Stacy. That's where you're going. That's where you got the tables from. Yeah, Pastor Stacy, he'll help out. And that's how a small little circle like this came together. And that's all we need is just a few. That's all we need is just a few. So just a few of us that's here, can start something, right now. That's right. And hey, if it branches off, to another division or whatever, okay. Then as long as we're moving in the right direction, because all the ideals are great. All of them are great. And so we shouldn't, look down on somebody's suggestion just because, you've heard it before or whatever. Like he said, it's not like we rewritten the wheel anyway. It's like the same old stuff. Your son is in a situation, your daughter's in the same situation, your nieces. We're all here together in the same situation. And if we don't come together and do what's necessary, we don't put every differences aside and have one big agenda that's unity in our community, right, that's being positive, that's promoting, everything that's good for our communities, then we might as well forget it anyway.
Right.
And so I'm saying, I'm leaving from this meeting with a good thought.
Yeah.
I'm taking from this meeting what I good thought. We've been to plenty of meetings. It don't have to be even this. We've been to plenty of things where it wasn't a whole lot that said, but it might have been one thing. And what's that one thing that you can take from this meeting and you can say, I can help out in that area? And that's why I came. That's why I came. And that's what I'm here for. So I'm here to do what I can. I can't worry about what I can't do. I can just do what I can. And that's all I know to do. That's all I know to do. But I thank everybody for even taking out their time to come out and do this, because like in this brief time, I've learned something. I gained something. I gained some information. I gained some networking and meeting people or whatever, and that's what you need to take. In life, every day, you're going to learn something if that's what you want. But if you go home and say, I had a terrible day, okay, even in a terrible situation, as tragic as that situation was last night, it's something we can learn from it. As tragic as it was, it's something we can take from it and learn from it and grow from it. And that's my piece.
So it's 5 o'clock. Nate, on behalf of our group, happy birthday, brother, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you tomorrow. We appreciate that. Tonight, we meet at 8. Tomorrow, we meet at 6. And then tomorrow night, we meet at 8 again. I say that we will get in touch with you all relative to what it means to have a direct follow-up. But I want to make sure, I'm saying it again, we make sure we tend to the needs of the family.
Yeah.
Tend to the needs of the family. I'm feeling this young man's heart when he was talking about Jordan Crawford, and 5 years have passed, but it seems like it happened to just yesterday. So when we leave this place, we leave with the renewed strength, not only to push back the darkness tonight, but we push back a little bit of the darkness inside ourselves too. Because we can't give up.
That's right. Forever.
Pastor, would you just lead us in a word of prayer?
Most gracious and all-wise God, we come before you, Lord, knowing that you have all power. You know you have all power. You have all understanding. And you can do all things. And so we humbly come to you, Lord, just thanking you, Lord, for your mercy. Thank you for your grace. Thank you that you have put up on the minds and hearts for each and every one that have come out to this meeting. And Lord, we just ask that you would just settle our spirits and settle our minds, Lord, and our hearts, that we will come in unity and do whatever it is. If it's a spoon, Lord, let us come in unity. If it's a table, Lord, let us come in unity. If it's a ride down the street, if it's a letter, if it's whatever it is, Lord, let us come in unity, Lord. And let us know that you're still in control, that you still have power, and that you can do all things. So we ask that you bless the efforts of this meeting, bless each individual that has come, Lord, and let us not leave from this meeting, Lord, with a downward spirit, Lord, but know that we're going to change, Lord. And let the change begin with us and in us, Lord. And so we thank you, Lord, for even this facility, Lord, that the pastor has opened up his doors, Lord. And we thank you for each and every one. Bless every home that's here, Lord. Bless every home and every person that's here, Lord. It could have been very well, Lord, our families and our people and our loved ones, Lord. It could have been very well. And we might even know some that caught up in that incident. But I'm thankful that we have to be aware of evil every day, Lord. As Kenya has said, Lord, the violence is creeping every day, Lord. And so we just want to give it a conscious and a heart and a mind and a desire to just bring peace to our world and our community. and that we would love one another. First of all, it starts from us loving one another. And so, Lord, if we can just do that commandment, Lord, the world will be a better place, our community will be a better place, and we will have a better place to call our own, and call our own, and make it our home. So, Lord, we thank you on tonight, and as we leave, we just ask that your presence be with us. We thank you. We ask your blessings on each and every one, and all the efforts that have come together on tonight. We just ask this in your mighty name, in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you all.